Hello, statistics scholars. All right, so we're going to work on parts D and E for lab number 1. So we'll start with looking at a quantitative discrete variable. And what we're going to do is we're going to calculate measures of central tendency, so the mean, median, and mode, and measures of variability, so the range, variance, and standard deviation, and then we'll write up a quick interpretation for the variables. So we're going to use the same variables that we used for parts A and C. And so we're going to start with the discrete variable, which is cups of coffee. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and type in mean, median, mode, range, variance, and standard deviation. And let me go ahead and I'm going to make this bigger as well. We're down a 12-point font. Okay, cool. So Excel is pretty simple. You just basically put in the function. So we're going to type in what the formula is. So for Excel, actually, it's what we call a function. So we know that the mean is actually the average in Excel. And we're going to go ahead and highlight all the numbers. So it's A46 to A2, it looks like. No, E2 to E46. That's the average. So let's go ahead and put that in here. So it looks like the mean is 1 cup, right? So when we go to interpret, right, if the mean is the most appropriate, let's double check and make sure. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and say equal median, right? And this was E2 colon to E46. So you notice how everything was highlighted, right? Just like we did before. So you can just type that in if you can remember what the range is. So let's see, the median is 1. Oh, okay, so this is a symmetric distribution. Yay! All right. Equal mode, and there's only one mode. Remember, we already figured that out, right? So we're going to do the mode dot single. Let me show that again. So multi-mode, that's if there is more than one mode in this particular variable. For cups of coffee, there was only one mode, and remember the mode was 0 cups of coffee, where 20 students drink 0 cups of coffee, right? So that's how we know that it's a single mode, right? So let me go ahead and type that back. Mode, so we'll go ahead and choose that, and it was E2 colon E46. So because this is symmetric, then the most appropriate measure of central tendency is 1 cup of coffee per day. Okay? All right, so that's the most appropriate measure is the mean of 1 cup of coffee per day. Okay? So that's what we would report out the mean as the most appropriate, and it's 1 cup of coffee per day. Okay? And I don't know why this is not changing. Oh, I know. Let's go back here and let's go ahead. There we go. Make the font a little bit bigger so that you can see it. Okay, so that's the measures of central tendency, all 6 measures. You will need to provide all 6 measures, but when you do the interpretation, and I'll show you when we get to the Word document, what that actual interpretation is. Okay, So now let's go ahead and do range. Range is going to be, remember that it's going to be the maximum number minus the minimum number. The maximum number is actually 4, right? Minus 0, right? So that's the maximum number. Let's see. So our range is 4. So you actually calculate it out. So 4 minus 0 is 4. Variance equal. So we're actually using the first one. This is the variance for population data. And these are, we consider these to be population data. So we're going to go ahead and use that as our variance. And it's going to be E2 to E46, just like before. And our variance is 1.42. And then our standard deviation, standard dev, right? Standard dev, and also population as well. So we're going to go ahead and put that in, and it's E2 colon E46, and close that parentheses every time, right? And so it's 1.2. So the most appropriate measure of variability is standard deviation of 1.2 cups of, actually it would be approximately, well, actually no, it is 1 cup per day. Yeah. And the reason why it's 1 and why I'm not putting 1.2 is because this is a discrete variable. Remember that cups of coffee, right, was a discrete variable, right? And so we can't have fractions. And so when we're reporting when we report the data, we need to actually report it as a whole number, right? So we want to make sure that's so there we go. Those are the most appropriate measures of central tendency and variability. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and let's open up my Word document. So you remember my Word document. I'm going to go all the way to the end, and we are going to do, this is part D. Oof. Oh dear. Whoops. Let me cancel that out. Just moving this over. Part D. This is quantitative. It might be part E. I don't remember. Discrete variable measures of central tendency and variability. All right. Okay, so remember cups of coffee. Coffee variable is a quantitative discrete variable. Oh, you know what I forgot? There we go. There's our mean, medians, and modes, okay? The most appropriate measure of central tendency is the mean of 1 cup of coffee per day. The most appropriate measure of variability is the standard deviation of 1, let's say, have 1 cup of coffee per day. All right, so what this means, so, and shape is inappropriate. is not appropriate to describe cups of coffee variable because this is a discrete variable. Okay, so shape is not appropriate, and the reason for it is because this is discrete. This is not a continuous variable, right? Okay, now the last part of this would be, so the typical number of cups of coffee is 1, and this varies by 1 cup. What that means, okay, so another way of saying this could be on average, because the standard deviation means the distance, on average, the distance from 1 cup of coffee is 1 cup. So basically, on average, the numbers vary about 1 cup of coffee from the mean. Okay. All right. So that's for part D, or E. Could be DE. So let me do this, because I don't remember if I put D or E as quantitative discrete. I think quantitative, it might be that the quantitative continuous was first. So let me go ahead and make this bigger as well. Just clean it up a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and underline this as well. That way you know. Okay, so that's part D and E. Okay, so I am going to copy this. Oh joy, Control C. Control V, and this is going to be continuous. Continuous variable. Okay, so then we'll come back and we'll go ahead and add the continuous measures here. All right, so now that we've done the discrete, let's go to height. So if you remember, we did height for continuous, right? So here's our height variable, and it goes from E2 to E46 as well. So we're going to do the same thing, right? We're going to calculate the mean, median, mode, range, variance, and standard deviation. Okay. So once again, equal, average, and it's going to be highlighting, this time it's not D, it's not E, it's going to be E. I'm sorry. It's going to be D, not E. So let's go back here, take a look, right? D2 to D46, enter. So it looks like the mean is 65.67 inches. And it is appropriate to have decimals here. So we're going to go ahead and leave that. Now let's take a look at the median so that we can determine whether or not this is a skewed distribution, because it looked like from the shape that it was, right? So 65, well, maybe not. And then let's take a look at mode. And I think there's only one, is that right? Is there only one mode? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's multiple modes. Okay, so let's go ahead and so we're going to go ahead and use multiple and highlight these guys. Let's see if it gives us 63 and 67. So I'm going to go ahead and move these down. So it looks like mode is 63 and 67. So if we were to just look at the mean and the median, it doesn't look skewed. But when we look at the mode, then we can see that, oh, wait, it looks like there is a skew here. Okay. Range. Oh, no. We're going to say equal. And this was D46 minus D2. And the range is 15. Equal variance. Bar dot P. Right? And this is going to be D2 colon D46. Close the parentheses. And the variance is 14.8 equals SD dev, and we're going to do population again, right? D2 colon D46, and it highlights the numbers that we need. Yay, okay. And it looks like the standard deviation is 3.8. So let's go ahead and we're going to copy this, bring it over to our Word document, right? Control V. Excellent. And so let me just make another space here. Okay. So here, right, we've got, let me go ahead and push that. There we go. Give it a little bit more room here. All right. So height variable is quantitative continuous variable, right? So the most appropriate here, the most appropriate measure of central tendency is, for in this case, is it would be the median, because the mode of 63 and 67 push it. Okay, so we're going to say it's going to be the median of 65 inches, which is pretty close to the mean. Okay, and then the most appropriate measure of variability is standard deviation of, and it's 3.8 inches. Okay. Now shape is appropriate to describe, right? So here height is positively, it's a slight, I would say height variable has a slight positive skew because because mode is different from, and let's put it here, so mode of 63 and 67, mode is different from mean 65.6 or 65.7 and median of 65. Okay. There. So yeah, so it's got a slight positive skew. All right. Okay, and then so then we can say that the typical height for this students in this Stat 101 class is 65 inches, and this varies by 3.8 inches. So on average, distance from 65 inches is 3.8. Okay, so the distance, right? So the distance from the mean is about, so on average, the heights vary about, right, about 3.8 inches. Okay, and so there you go. So this actually shows you how to do the last part, D and E, parts D and E of lab number 1. So I'm hoping that this helps. If you have any questions, let me know. We're going to have, we'll have, Zoom review sessions where you can ask more questions if this wasn't clear or you're still struggling with this. All right. Don't forget, I'm here to help.